This time, Islamic Circles is back in front of you to share Islamic information, hopefully inspiring your activities today. Somewhere in France about 50 years ago, there was a 50-year-old Turkish national named Ibrahim. He was a parent selling food in a delicatessen. The shop was located in an apartment, where one of the residents was a Jewish family who had a 7-year-old child named Jad. Jad, the Jewish boy, comes to the shop where Ibrahim works almost every day to buy groceries for the house. Every time he went out of the store and Ibrahim was caught off guard, Jad would take a piece of Ibrahim's chocolate without his permission. One day after shopping, Jad forgot to take a piece of chocolate when going out. And then suddenly Ibrahim called and told him that he forgot to take a piece of chocolate as he was used to. Jad was shocked because he thought that Ibrahim did not know what he had been doing. He immediately apologized and was afraid that Ibrahim would report his actions to his parents. It's okay. The important thing is that you promise not to take anything without permission, and every time you want to leave here, take a piece of chocolate. It's yours, said Ibrahim as a sign of agreement. Time passed, years passed, and Ibrahim, a Muslim, became a father and friend to Jad, the Jewish boy. It was Jad's habit that when he faced a problem, he would always come and consult Ibrahim. And every time Jad finished telling his story, Ibrahim always took a book from the drawer, gave it to Jad, and then told him to open it at random. After Jad opened it, Ibrahim would read 2 pages from it, close it, and start giving advice and solutions to Jad's problems. A few years passed, and so did Jad's days with Ibrahim, an old and uneducated Turkish Muslim. 14 years have passed. Jad is now a dashing young man and 24 years old, while Ibrahim was 67 years old at the time. Once upon a time, Ibrahim finally died, but before he died he had kept a box entrusted to his children in which he placed a book that he always read every time Jad consulted him. Ibrahim testified that his children would later give the book as a gift to Jad, a young Jewish man. Jad only learned of Ibrahim's death when his son told him to give him the box. Jad was shocked and very saddened by the news, because Ibrahim was the one who had been providing solutions to all his problems, and Ibrahim was his only true friend. Days passed, and every time he was in trouble, Jad always remembered Ibrahim. Now he only left a box. The box he always opened contained a book that Ibrahim used to read every time he came to him. Jad tried to open the pages of the book, but it was written in Arabic, and he couldn't read it. Then he went to one of his Tunisian friends and asked him to read 2 pages from the book. Just as Ibrahim used to ask him to open the pages of the book randomly when he came to consult. The Tunisian friend then read and explained the meaning of the 2 sheets he had shown. And it turned out that what his friend read hit exactly the problem Jad was experiencing at the time. Jad then told the Tunisian friend about the problems that were afflicting him, and then the Tunisian friend gave him a solution according to what he had read in the book. Jad was shocked, then curiously asked, "What is this book?" He replied, "This is the Quran, the holy book of Islam." Jad was both incredulous and amazed. Jad then asked again, "How do you become a Muslim?" His friend replied, "Say the Shahada and follow the Sharia." After that, and without any hesitation, Jad said the Shahada, and he is now a Muslim. As time passed, Jad became a Muslim, and he changed his name to Jadullah al-Qurani as a tribute to the Quran that was so special and able to answer all his problems. And since then, he has decided that he will spend the rest of his life devoted to spreading the teachings of the Quran. Jadullah began studying the Quran and understanding its contents, followed by preaching in Europe, until he succeeded in Islamizing 6,000 Jews and Christians. One day, Jadullah opened the pages of the Quran, a gift from Ibrahim. Suddenly, he found a sheet with a map of the world. When his eyes fell on the image of the continent of Africa, He saw Ibrahim's signature on it, and under the signature was written the verse, "Invite people to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good lessons." Quran Shura, and Null verse 125. He was convinced that this was the will of Ibrahim and decided to carry it out. Sometime later, Jadallah left Europe and traveled to African countries, including Kenya, southern Sudan, where the majority of the population is Christian, Uganda, and surrounding countries. Jadallah managed to Islamize more than 6 million people from the Zulu tribe. This is just one tribe, not to mention other tribes. Jadallah's end of life. Jadallah al-Qurani, a true Muslim and a true Da'i, spent 30 years of his life preaching in arid African countries and succeeded in converting millions of people to Islam. Jadallah passed away in 2003 after a brief illness. He was 45 years old and died during his preaching years. The story doesn't end here. Jadallah al-Qurani's mother was a fanatical Jewish woman, an educated woman, and a lecturer at a university. Her mother converted to Islam in 2005, 2 years after Jadallah's death at the age of 70. She told me that, while her son was still alive, she spent 30 years trying her best to get him to convert back to Judaism by various means, with all her experience, knowledge, and skills, but she could not influence her son to convert back to Judaism. Whereas Ibrahim, an old Muslim with no education, was able to soften his heart to embrace Islam because it is the only true religion. The question is, why did Jad, the Jewish boy, convert to Islam? Jadallah al-Qurani tells us that Ibrahim, whom he knew for 17 years, never called him by the words, "O disbeliever," or "O Jew." Ibrahim never even said, "Convert to Islam." Imagine that for 17 years, Ibrahim never once taught him about religion, about Islam, or about Judaism. The simple old Muslim never engaged him in a discussion about religion, but he knew how to guide a child's heart to the morals of the Quran. This true story is worthy of our contemplation in these times of fitna, when many people no longer heed the Quranic way of dawah, easy to disbelieve, fluent in reviling, claiming heresy, declaring bid'ah, cursing, and slandering, even though they are fellow Muslims. In the past, our da'is have struggled desperately to spread Tawheed and Islamize the disbelievers. But why is it that now people who are already Muslims are even disbelieved and accused of shirk? Aren't we only obliged to judge something by what is seen? As for the inner matters, let Allah judge later. We are not at all commanded to cut open the chest of every human being in order to know the level of faith that each person has. Well, Islamic circles, viewers, until our encounter this time, I hope you all inspire. See you in the next video. Thank you.